Sonic 06 is generally regarded as one of the most disappointing games of all time. Its story and gameplay are just not up to par with previous installments, but there's something that always brings people back to it. For me, it's all the cut content this game has to offer. There's so many interesting things that you just can't see in a normal playthrough. So many things that were intended to be in the game, but they just forgot to put it in. The amount of cut content that would have improved the gameplay is pretty crazy. So I decided to make a video regarding all of Sonic 06's missing content. And without further ado, let's get into it. So in the base game, there's only normal and hard, and very hard was added later as a DLC for the Xbox 360. But in the game files, there's also a super hard mode. This was likely going to be another DLC, but it didn't seem to get very far, as there are no level layouts for any of the super hard stages. I did play the very hard DLC a long time ago back on the Xbox 360, and I found the level layouts to be much better than the normal and hard versions. I would love to see the very hard mode return one day, perhaps in Project 06. Let's move on to some debugging features found in the game's files. First, we have a debug title screen of some sorts. It looks pretty strange. It has some moving rectangles in the background, and pressing start will lead you to a screen that is completely unfinished. Here are some pictures of what debug would have looked like. And here are the debug controls. Apparently it would allow you to fly around with no clip, meaning you could go through any walls or objects. This sounds really interesting to me, and I'm thinking about making a video regarding debug mode in Sonic 06. Here we have some early textures in the Castle Hub world. There isn't really much to say here, just a bunch of minor changes. Most of them just add some text or blur the image. Honestly, not really sure why they decided to make these changes. I feel like they should have spent their time on other things. Here's something that's pretty interesting. The Sonic Unleashed jump panel seems to be in Sonic 06's files. This kind of implies that the jump panel was supposed to be introduced here, but for some reason they decided to stick with the Sonic Heroes and Shadow the Hedgehog design. I don't really care too much, as I prefer the older one anyways. There are some unused multiplayer icons found in the game's data, including icons for a third and a fourth player. This is pretty interesting, as you can only do 2-player in the final game. Also in the final game, you can only select from 3 characters: Sonic, Shadow, and Silver. Maybe this means that all 9 playable characters in the game were planned to be in multiplayer at one point. Also, here's a bunch of unused icons found in the multiplayer, including a bronze, silver, and gold medal. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure no medals are present in the multiplayer in Sonic 06. There's also a bunch of other icons, most of which I couldn't tell you what they're meant to be. This is the rainbow gem, which we'll come back to later. I know I said I couldn't tell you what the icons mean, but I may have just found some speculation on what they're supposed to do exactly. The blue arrows might have been used as a lap count for races. The head could be related to an NPC that the player must guide. Same with the dog. It might be related to the dog the player has to guide in certain missions. The E probably would have been used as an enemy counter. And the star might be related to the goal ring somehow. Nice. Anyway, here are some unused warp gate images. The unused ones being Crisis City, Flame Core, and the 3 weird ones on the bottom. Maybe early on there was supposed to be a hub world for the future. This would explain why there's a Crisis City and Flame Core image. The white and black one are probably nothing, but the space looking one was probably going to be used for the last episode. Apparently there was supposed to be grind rails on the bridges of Soliana Town, and by the dock on the new city. I originally thought this would be super cool. It would make it so much easier to get past those annoying bridges. Here's some footage of what it would have been like. Huh. Yeah, it's probably best they left this one out. I would like to see this restored one day. Maybe if Chaos X includes hub worlds in Project 06, he'll restore them. We can only hope. The title screen was originally going to give you the option to start over without having to manually delete your save file. This was included in the Xbox Live demo. It's strange that they didn't include this in the base game, as it seems like it would be super simple to implement. It is kind of annoying to go into your console's storage and delete the save data there. Let's move on to some unused abilities. One interesting one is the edge grab. Apparently most of the characters were meant to be able to grab ledges, similar to Sonic Adventure 2. Unfortunately, the coding wasn't finished for this though. Here's an animation of what it probably would have looked like. Remember that rainbow gem I was talking about earlier? Well, here it is. When activated, it plays this short animation. To me, it looks pretty similar to a supersonic transformation. This shows that you may have been able to unlock supersonic, not just in the final level. Cool enough, this was restored in Project 06, but you have to get all S ranks to unlock it. There's also some unused sounds and particles thought to be related to this. Blaze was originally supposed to have a melee attack called the Claw attack. It has the same particle effects as Sonic and Shadow's spin kick attack, implying that the devs intended but never got around to implementing it. Here's a whole list of unused moves that the boss Silver is supposed to use. He only had like 2 moves in the final game, so it's kind of a mystery why they didn't implement this. The shield was supposed to be in the game and even made it as far as getting into the game's manual. Here's a little video of it. The weird part is it's fully functional. It just doesn't appear in any level layouts for some reason. Some of you might be thinking that the high-speed shoes aren't in it either, and you would be correct. The only difference being that the high-speed shoes are actually present in an unused level layout. This level layout appears to be an unused 2-player town mission for Shadow. So apparently there was supposed to be 2-player town missions? This game is missing so much content. Despite not being able to normally finish a level, Knuckles has a proper level completion animation and has a bunch of voice responses depending on the rank that you get. Here's what he would say if you got an S.
Alright!
Here's a video of someone taking advantage of a glitch and completing the level with Knuckles.
Thank you, Knuckles.
See, he still has a working animation and everything. Why would they implement this if you were never meant to complete a level as Knuckles? I'm sure early in development they had more plans for him. They probably had to cut him out due to a lack of time. Alright, let's get into some unused animations left over from the Tokyo Game Show 2005. First, we have Sonic tapping his foot. It's likely a callback to the original game. If you waited long enough, Sonic would start tapping his foot. This actually adds a little bit of character depth. It shows that Sonic gets pretty impatient when he's going too slow. Here's a running animation that looks pretty similar to the E3 demo. The main difference between this and the retail version is that he kinda bounces while he runs. Here's a victory animation. When he finishes a level, he kinda slides into this kinda cool pose. This was shown in the Tokyo Game Show demo when he completed the stage. Now let's move on to the E3 animations. This was meant to occur in Kingdom Valley, likely when you fell off the rope. It was supposed to be a wind mechanic that would float you back up if you fell off the rope. This gimmick is pretty similar to Windy Valleys from Sonic Adventure, where if you fell in certain sections you would be saved by the wind. Here's some pretty cool animations of Sonic sitting in a Jeep. This is pretty interesting as the Jeeps are only seen in Shadow stages. The way he's seated, it looks like he was supposed to be a passenger, meaning you might have been able to fit multiple characters inside the Jeep. Here's that edge grab animation I showed you guys earlier. Here's an animation of Knuckles grinding on a rail, even more proof that Knuckles was supposed to have more gameplay. Now, Shadow doesn't have that many interesting animations, but the ones that are worth mentioning, well, you'll just have to see for yourself. before you start reporting my video, I just want you to know that there's actually nothing wrong with these. These are just simple animations of Shadow bumping into something while riding a vehicle. So all of you sick fucks that were thinking of something other than that, I just want you to know that you're the worst type of person. Fucking weirdos. Anyway, I think that's enough animations for today. There are a ton of unused stage objects, most of which aren't interesting enough to talk about, so I'm just gonna create a short montage of all of them. Big thanks to Jeracyclo Gaming for providing this footage. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. In the game data, there's an unused present object. On the Cutting Room Floor website, it states that it may have been used to take you to the DLC on the Xbox Live Marketplace. For some reason, upon collecting it, Sonic would say,
The crest of Soliana and an eagle. I see.
Not really sure what that means, but it sounds interesting nonetheless. I was going through a bunch of the unused text, and one thing specifically caught my eye. It says, Find Chow. Was there originally supposed to be Chow in this game? I don't even think there's a reference to Chow in this game. Apparently, early on, they intended for us to go find them in the game. There's some more interesting text in here, but nothing more extreme than that. It also mentions minigames, super hard mode, ultimate mode, a super form, and here it says Sonic transforms into a larger size. This is some crazy stuff. Alright, let's look at some unused dialogue, and holy, there is a lot. So I was looking for some interesting ones, and I found yet another that mentions Chow. Listen to this.
It looks like I can replenish my custom shoes energy with the chaos drives from enemies.
He says chaos drives. Aren't those the things that you collect from enemies in Sonic Adventure 2, and then you feed them to Chow? Now, chaos drives don't appear in the actual game, but these things called light cores do. There is a quote that is almost identical to that line of dialogue, but instead it replaces chaos drives with light cores.
It looks like I can replenish my custom shoes energy with the light cores from enemies.
Crazy stuff. Here Sonic mentions an enemy that crawls on walls and ceilings and then jumps on you suddenly. I don't remember that in the final game. Kinda reminds me of those little shell enemies from Mario. This is a line from Tails that goes unused, but I find it kinda cool because it references Team Sonic.
Team Sonic is back!
Want to see the prototype version of the new city? Believe me, you're not going to want to miss this one. Through a glitch, you can go through the door as Shadow and get into the new city early, and it actually loads the early version of the new city. And what you get once you enter the new city is something truly remarkable. As you can see, for whatever reason, there's a bunch of cars everywhere, and they're just running into pedestrians, running into the walls and shit. It's crazy. They're just honking their horns at you the whole time. I mean, it's no wonder they got rid of this later. Like, it's crazy. I'm not sure how they managed to fuck this up this bad, because they did this in Sonic Adventure 1 and it was fine. And that game came out like 7 years before or something. I mean, this situation sums up this game perfectly. I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if this was left in the final game. It would not have changed the score at all. Anyway, another strange thing that's found in the new city is this pigeon named Hatson. All he has to say is coo. All I have to say is that someone decided to put this in instead of fixing the grind rail glitch. I honestly don't understand the priorities in the development of this game. Sonic actually has an unused section in Dusty Desert. Both Shadow and Silver have gameplay in the interior of the temple, Sonic being the only one that doesn't. But in the game data, there's actually an entire level layout for Sonic in the interior of the temple. Some objects aren't set properly, such as enemies floating or rings clipping inside of things. In fact, the gold ring is actually sitting inside of the floor. Overall, there's not much to say here. It really just resembles Shadow's course. Here's a test level found in the game's data. Once again, there's not really much to say here. There's just a bunch of enemies and objects placed randomly all over the place. Alright, I think that's enough Sonic 06 for one day. I absolutely love this game, and I'm planning on making more videos about it in the future. This video could have been a lot longer, but I cut out a ton of uninteresting things. Let me know if you'd like a more in-depth video, or if I should keep these videos around 20 minutes. Or maybe I should go even shorter. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how my first video turned out. I do realize there's a lot of room for improvement, such as commentary and my shitty editing skills. Please let me know if you have any ideas to improve my content. It'd be greatly appreciated. I have a couple more videos in the works that will be coming out in the next couple weeks, so look out for those. I'm not going to be one of those guys that begs you for a subscription, but I will ask politely, please subscribe. Anyway, thank you for watching this terrible video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.